just want to welcome everyone for joining us today for our Stay at Homecoming, our athletics meet and greet. My name is John Hunt. I am not Victor the Charger, but I am using that account today. I work in the Alumni and Development Office. I also have the pleasure of working with the athletics department on the Friends of Colby Sawyer Athletics fundraising program, as well as the Chargers Club. And we're excited to have folks today. I know this is a strange time for everyone, and in the athletics world, it's no different. But I think it's also a really exciting time for Colby Sawyer in that we're blessed with the opportunity to introduce a new athletic director, as well as a group of 4 fabulous new head coaches. So I'm going to turn it over to Mitch Capelle, our new athletic director, to kind of kick it off. And what we'll do is, because it is a small group, if you do want to ask a question, I think just raising your hand and I'll kind of try to keep an eye on folks. I don't think we need to kind of get super formal with the hand raise or the chat, but if you feel more comfortable in the chat, go ahead and we'll ask these questions and we'll enjoy our happy hour. So I'd like to also remind folks that we are recording, and if you do want a copy of this at the end, we can send it out. But without further ado, Mitch Capelle.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Appreciate everybody's time today to hop on this Zoom and get to know, as John said, myself, but more importantly, I think the 4 new coaches that we have on this call with us today. You know, they're the real important ones here. I'm just a coach of coaches, but they're the ones who get to be on the front lines and interact with our student athletes every day. So really excited to have these 4 individuals with us and at Colby Sawyer with myself, and I think you'll enjoy hearing from them today as well. But just want to briefly introduce myself and give you a little bit about my background. This isn't my actual first time at Colby Sawyer. I've been at Colby Sawyer once before as the sports information director about 12 years ago. But grew up in central Wisconsin, attended college in Milwaukee. Had an opportunity from there to have a graduate assistantship in athletic communications at Lakeland College, and then got the chance to come out to Colby Sawyer and New London the first time 12, 13 years ago. Deb McGrath, the athletic director at the time, took a chance on a young sports information person and had me come out, and I moved 1,200 miles away from everybody I knew to New London, and absolutely loved my 2 years there. Had the opportunity to go back to Wisconsin for what was at the time my dream job, working doing the job I loved as close as I could to where I grew up. But then the last few years I was there, wanted to maybe try something else, and had the opportunity to actually come back to New Hampshire about 4 years ago and serve as the associate athletic director at St. Anselm College in Manchester. And I spent 4 years there as the associate AD before, in the middle of this crazy pandemic, I saw that there was an opportunity to come back to Colby Sawyer and be a Charger again, and thought it would be a great opportunity. So I'm back now and excited to work with our student athletes. You know, hopefully we can get back to some sense of normalcy at some point here and see them compete and be out on the fields and on the courts. But for right now, you know, with the pandemic and everything that's going on, we're just dedicated to providing an experience, whatever experience it is that we can provide, a meaningful experience for our student athletes. I think we've been trying to do that with having some team activities and practices, but no one quite knows what the future holds, but excited for it when we get that far. So, but love to take the chance to have you get to meet the other head coaches that are on this call. They're like I said, the important ones. So Devon, do you want to go next? Since you're next on my screen, so I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, so a little about my background. I'm Devon, new women's basketball coach here. I got into coaching after my undergraduate at Smith College. I had the opportunity to work with a nonprofit program, Project Coach. And through that program, I began to understand the impact that sports can have on a person's life. I had that experience as a player, but really on the other side of it, from a coaching perspective, the intentionality that goes behind including different aspects really made me fall in love with coaching. I was able to coach at Smith College for 3 years, and then I went on to TCNJ. And then I have this great experience here to be a head coach and start my head coaching career.
Awesome. Thanks, Devon. Ryan, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ryan O'Connell. Excited to be here. A little background on myself. I went to Springfield College down in Western Massachusetts. I ran cross country and track there for 4 years, and that's also where I got my coaching start. I was a grad assistant coach there for 2 years. Then I volunteered for a year at Bridgewater State College before I got hired as the full-time assistant coach at Wheaton College, also in Mass. And I've been there for the past 4 years before, like Devon, got my head coaching start here at Colby Sawyer. So excited to take over both the men's and women's cross country and track and field teams. And hopefully, build it up and have a lot of success here. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Ed, how about yourself?
All right, I'm a little older than my peers there, so my history is a little longer. I'm born and raised in Massachusetts. I did my undergraduate degree at Salve Regina University. I played soccer and lacrosse there. 15 years ago, 2005, I moved out to Bozeman, Montana, and spent most of my time there on the campus of Montana State University as a master's student, as a doctoral student, as a writing instructor, and ultimately as the assistant dean of students for student conduct, where I also worked with all the fraternities and did all the Clery compliance. Maybe more importantly, I helped start the men's rugby program at Montana State, and ultimately took over the head coaching duties of the women's program at Montana State before this opportunity arose. And I moved here February 18th and had 1 week with the women, and then we were shut down. So here I am, happy to be here.
Thanks, Ed. Helaina.
Awesome. Yeah, that leaves me. Hi, I'm Helaina, a new head swimming and diving coach. Originally grew up in Massachusetts. This is my first head coach gig, like a few of my peers here on this call, most recently coming from Dartmouth College. I was there for a couple years, and then they gave us the cut this summer. So excited to be able to kind of take what was a really terrible thing and turn it into something that's still going to be pretty good for me personally, and make something out of this. And gives me the opportunity to kind of build my own program and see what it's like to be a head coach. So I'm excited about that. Also just want to shout out to April because I swam did my collegiate career at the University of Maine, and April was a kick-ass athletic trainer for us and basically got me through a number of years. So pretty excited to see her on this call.
Those former Chargers, they're everywhere. It's fantastic. Awesome. Well, now we've given everybody a little bit of an introduction here. You guys have any questions for us? Anything you'd like to know about what we're doing here at Colby Sawyer?
So I guess I have a question, but also kind of specifically for you, Ed. I'm a professor at Wayne State College in Wayne, Nebraska. Does that mean anything to you as rugby?
Yeah, it does, and it was one of my worst driving experiences. I had many from Montana down to Colorado specifically, but the experience from Montana to Wayne, Nebraska during a snowstorm was one of them. They're one of the top women's programs in the country repeatedly, even though they're in small college. They come and they participated in the sevens event last year at CU Boulder, and I think only lost to Air Force. So yeah, really good program there. I don't know how they do it. In that it's such a small community with the McDonald's and then the hotel and then a really nice rugby pitch. So
yeah, I run by it every single day. It's great, but
yeah.
obviously we locked down here too. I guess my question is for everybody, but specifically for the new track coach. Hello, most of the people on this call right now are former track people. I was a decathlete. Some of my colleagues, former friends, still friends, mind you, are on this call too. I guess the big question for me is that we've seen an academic shift at Colby Sawyer over the last probably 4 years. And we're seeing that the movement towards programs and class structures that are more professional and sometimes take a lot of classwork and a lot of independent work, internships, and sometimes takes away from your athletic experiences. I was very lucky at Colby Sawyer to be both a decathlete, the editor of the newspaper, on the radio, doing a million different things. Probably stretched myself a little too thin. But what kind of opportunities, or how are you going to keep your players engaged through the 4 years at Colby Sawyer, given that we have a very large nursing class now, large business class stuff on campus? How is that going to impact sports, or have you thought of different ways and strategized how to engage the new group of Chargers coming in?
Yeah, so I kind of got on campus in August, so still trying to learn what all those outside academic activities are. I do have a couple nurses on my team. So just trying to learn their schedule and stuff, but the schedule's a little funky this year in terms of the kids are in class pretty much from 8 a.m. all the way to like 6 p.m. So we kind of have different practice times all throughout the time. Ideally, we'd like to try to get it down to like 4 to 6, the normal practice time. I think that kind of works with most of their kind of schedules. I know a lot of them get out of clinicals in time to make that, or either come a little bit later. We're very flexible. I've already had that conversation with most of the team, saying that like academics and those programs come first and stuff. So we make time for academics and stuff, but we try to engage them at practice. We try to do fun team activities before we kind of kick off practice, whether it's like team challenges, and they're like silly things like rock, paper, scissors, playing challenge, trivia, maybe some like relay races and stuff like that. Try to keep them engaged. Try to get off campus sometimes. Some of the distance runners going down to like the rail trail, going a couple of those the lakes that are nearby. Still trying to learn names of everything. But the kids have been great, trying to help me kind of show me some of the spots that they like to go to and stuff. So just kind of being open and hearing their kind of thoughts and stuff and what they want to get out of this experience, and trying to give them the best 4 years that they can have. And hopefully we can improve both individually, but also as a team, and really create a good team culture that they can look back on their 4 years and be proud that they were on the Colby Sawyer cross country and track and field teams.
Cool.
So Sean, what do you teach at Wayne State?
I teach media and communications at Wayne State.
Okay.
So my background, actually, I got my communications degree from Colby Sawyer, got my master's at Bowling Green in Ohio, and I just finished my PhD from the University of Buffalo last year, actually. So that's why I asked. I think that Colby Sawyer is a great opportunity to build all these different things together. I always had a hard time balancing academics with sports, much to my own physical and probably mental health too. So that's why I ask out of curiosity. I know that a lot of the majors at Colby Sawyer now are definitely going to be a little more intensive. So it's nice to hear that you're still trying to build a team atmosphere, Ryan, and that you're trying to work with that, to say the least. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly a challenge, and you're absolutely right. As we start to build and grow those nursing majors and some of the healthcare profession stuff, it's going to be a challenge. I actually had a meeting last week with Kevin Finn, who's the dean of nursing at Colby Sawyer, and we talked about this. We talked about what sort of things, how do we work together, how do we help as we grow the programming that's available. Still allow our student athletes to have a meaningful experience and be a part of a team. So we certainly recognize that it's something we need to work on and make sure that we communicate about as we go forward. I do also have a question. I actually have my cousin's husband is also a professor at Wayne State. I think he's in the music department. Matt Hawkinson.
Who?
Matt Hawkinson.
I've heard the name. A couple of the music professors from New Jersey actually reached out to me when I moved out here because they knew I was going to be dealing with some culture shock. But you said Matt Hawkinson? I'll check it out.
Yep. Yep. He's probably, I think he teaches in the classics in the music department, but he's a professor over there. He's been kind of been all around. So
it's a small world, and I'm learning more and more that Wayne. I have to tell you, Ed, running past the rugby coach, the rugby field, the pitch, and seeing like the names of schools that I knew, and being like, oh wow, that good. So yeah, cool. I'll check it out. Thanks, Mitch.
Awesome. Hey, no problem.
So Ryan, I have a question for you. So Mitch, I think I was at Colby Sawyer one of your first years. I graduated in 2008. did track and fields from 2004 to 2008. But Ryan, I wanted to just touch base with you because really found out about the call today through the email chains, the Friends of Colby Sawyer Track and Field and Cross Country. I think that's awesome doing the outreach to alumni. But, like Sean said, a bunch of us are on here today just because of that email, but wanted to see if you had any plans to help bring alumni back. Maybe, we've always kind of joked about, the alumni track meet or something, or just like trying to get those connections with alumni with current students, because just small circle for me too. One of the assistant coaches I coach at, or I coach with in Andover, Mike Maldari, went to Springfield.
All right.
And then one of your athletes, Dean Miller, I coached for the past 3 years before he came up last year as a freshman.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, so I've definitely been trying to think of that. So when I was at Springfield, we had an alumni cross country race, and it was my favorite weekend of the whole year as an undergrad and as a post grad. It was just so much fun to kind of meet the older guys, like see like people from like the 70s and 60s that would come back, and even if they couldn't run, they'd be there just to kind of meet the team. And I always thought that was really cool. So that's definitely something like in the future I'd love to try to do, whether it's like maybe it's like a 5K race, or if we can get enough interest, we can kind of kickstart maybe a little mini like track meet or something, do like maybe like 5 or 10 events or whatever we have. I think that'd be really fun for both the team and for like alumni and stuff. So that's, yeah, definitely something I've trying to been, in the back of my head, trying to think once we're kind of through all this COVID stuff, how we can kind of build something like that and make a really like fun weekend out of it.
I just to piggyback off of Brian and what he said, basically the idea of being able to drive, I'll drive 1,400 miles just to beat Matt Cole in a sprint. So that's, I have no issue with that.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so I actually have a question. So back when I was at Colby Sawyer, I was pretty into, I was a sprinter, track athlete. I was pretty into lifting weights and everything. And there was no formal strength and conditioning program or anything sort of resembling that. I'd work hard and be like, oh, my biceps are getting bigger. Why am I not getting faster? And I just didn't have that knowledge base. And then I actually went to Springfield College for my graduate studies in strength and conditioning. And
awesome.
It really opened my eyes. Their programs there are incredible. And I went on to coach the Milwaukee Brewers minor league team out in Montana for a season as a strength coach. And I was just wondering, is there any plans, or, I mean, it's been 10 years, is there currently some semblance of a strength and conditioning program or anything to help the athletes in that regard?
Yeah, so I'm actually strength and conditioning certified through the USTF CCCA. So I was actually the assistant strength and conditioning coach at Wheaton College, and I worked with all 21 of our varsity teams there. So I've been trying to put together some training programs and stuff for our team at Colby Sawyer. And strength and conditioning is a huge part of my programming, especially for like the sprints, jumps, and throws, those speed and power events. I think that's right up there in terms of like important just as much as like running, if not maybe a little more important in terms of like, especially sprints, jumps, and throws. They need to be in that weight room 2 or 3 times a week. And I think that makes all the difference. I've seen it with athletes in the past, so I'm a big fan of it. And I think it plays a huge role in kind of our programming and how our team's going to get better.
Nice. And to follow up with what Brian and Sean mentioned, I think the interest is definitely there from, we have a group of probably about 8 to 10 people that we've been talking to for some sort of mini meet in the next, year or two.
All right.
Do like a warm up alumni meet.
Yeah,
we'd make the drive.
let's make that happen. I love that.
All right.
We'll have to start an email chain, getting people together and stuff. We can start brainstorming.
Nice.
Ryan, basically the idea is, how can I blow out a muscle at 33? And the athletic trainers at Colby Sawyer still bend me? That's the question.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, I just making a bad joke about my Achilles as I run now. It's just a bad situation mostly. But yeah, no, I think that I'd love to have one alumni engagement with regards to track and field. I really like what they've done with the trials too on campus. So absolutely. Oh, and Matt, I don't know if you knew about this, but there is a varsity weight room now. I wish we had.
Yes.
I had no idea. I remember when we went there, somebody within the fitness department like showed us how to clean for like 20 minutes, and that was literally the extent of our strength and conditioning program. So that's good to hear.
Oh no, we'll be teaching them all how to lift.
Yeah.
One coach, one shared weight room with every team, every student on campus. So that's
No
awesome.
track.
No
track.
track.
And shared with every community member who was a member of Hogan Center.
Yep.
No, I was going to talk about that. I was going to touch on it. We actually converted one of the racquetball courts into a varsity weight room. It's got a couple racks in there, a couple free weights, a couple things in there. It's already it was finished, I think, right before COVID hit, and now we already have teams, booking times for team lifts and stuff in there. And Nick, one of our athletic trainers, is kind of helps with some workout programs, and we've also been talking with Sean Royal from the fitness center about working with some of our teams and doing exactly what you're talking about, helping them with lifts and things like that. And it's actually a strength and conditioning certification or strength and conditioning emphasis is a program that we're kind of talking about or exploring at Colby Sawyer right now. So it's possible that we could offer something like that for somebody to be strength coach certified at some point in the future.
Ryan, we used to have to drive down to Kearsarge High School to practice because there was no track, there was no circles. It was crazy.
Yeah, Jesse Sochi, our assistant throws coach, is telling me all about that. But the outdoor track is beautiful. The first time I saw it, that view, the mountains and stuff, I was like, whew, we're lucky to have that. That's nice. And the trails on campus too. We got it all. We just need an indoor track now.
Reichhold. Just go to Reichhold.
I think one important thing to note that Mitch kind of touched on was that the not only the varsity weight room, but also the cross-country trails that are on campus both came from two different alumni groups or alumni that had made a donation to create both of those facilities on campus. And both of them opened over the last year. And I know, as Mitch had said, that the weight room had just opened at the beginning of last year. The cross-country trails had been open for, I believe, a year, and I believe, I should know this because I work in the alumni office, but I do believe there was an alumni cross-country meet on the opening weekend of the when they did the ribbon cutting for the trails. So alumni support was super in kind of helping us with those facilities.
Oh, quickly, Devon, you said you were a coach at TCNJ?
She was, yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not far
Find
from
the
where I have an apartment on Route 1 in Jersey. That is
Okay.
right
Yeah,
now.
I traveled Route 1 quite a bit.
So, and a lot of my family and friends went to TCNJ. That's a great school, by the way.
Yeah, it was great. I lived right in Ewing, right there. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I just had a question for the coaches. I'm still an athletic trainer. Thanks, Helaina, for the for the shout out earlier. We're obviously not having any games or any sports right now. So what are you guys doing like to keep the athletes engaged on campus and invested in their sports?
I can go first. Yeah, so right now we're really lucky in the fact that like Colby Sawyer is doing in-person classes and things like that. So we are able to have our teams together. Basically athletic training had like phased like reentry programs, which I'm sure like most places are doing. And just this past week, we kind of, most teams hit like phase 3, which was basically like you can have your team together for most of, with certain restrictions, and you can go like 10 hours a week. So that's been pretty helpful, and being able to like still have them train, like where I have them they're lifting twice a week. They're swimming, 4 times a week right now. Unfortunately, only one of those practices is able to be like a full team practice. And that frankly has more to do with the academic scheduling adjustments they made than anything to do with like reentry procedures or COVID or things like that. But from my observations, the students themselves, at least on my team, are being very diligent about like masks, social distancing, and like sanitizing. They're pretty they're pretty on top of that. They know and they recognize that it could all be taken away and that they could be the ones that take it away for everybody. And so we've talked about that, and they don't want to lose this. I guess they've seen a lot of other schools shut down, and they're really, I think, just grateful to be here. And like, they know that they're not going to compete formally this fall, and that's like a very small possibility in the spring, but they don't really care, which is nice. They're just happy to still be a team and be together. And so I think like keeping them engaged honestly has been very easy because they're just excited to be there. And I think having Saturday as the only day where my team's together, that like just like builds up the week for them, because they're used to training together as a team historically before COVID. And so not having that has made it, I think, challenging for them, and that gives them something to look forward to like every weekend. And so we're definitely making sure on the weekends trying to like go fast, go off the blocks, or like today we played a game called like Rock Band Racehorse, where they have to guess if it's the name of a rock band or the name of a racehorse. And then depending if that person gets it correct or incorrect, the team does one of two things. So just like trying to keep it interesting and exciting, knowing that they're not going to compete for real. But they're, at least the swimming team, they seem to be in a good place, which is exciting.
Yeah, to kind of go off of that, for the cross country season, New England D3 is actually hosting a lot of virtual races. So we've been participating in those. We actually had one this morning, and one of our seniors, Abby, PR'd by over a minute in the virtual race. So we were amped for her. We had a sophomore PR by 8 seconds as well. So the virtual races have been kind of keeping our team engaged, because then they can go on Monday and they can look at the results and see how they compare to all the other schools in New England D3. So it's nice that the Connecticut college coach actually put this all together. So it's nice of him to do that. And I know it's helping a bunch of teams around New England kind of, keep at training and have like a purpose for it and stuff. Even though we can't race in person, we can still kind of get out there and do these time trials and stuff and see how we stack up against other schools. So I know our team really enjoys looking forward to those, and we've been doing those every other Saturday.
Ryan, if you want to find some really interesting history, I never got to look at this when I was at Colby Sawyer, but you might want to look back to like when we were all women's college. You might find some interesting telegram meets. That was a big thing back in the day when they didn't want women to be a part of like athletics on campus. So it might be something that's interesting to find any research about that, because everything that's old is new again, right?
Yeah.
And so that could be kind of cool. And I was going to ask you about that. What apps are you using for that?
So it's a website that just launched a couple weeks ago. It's called ned3.org. And it's awesome. Anything you need to know about New England Division III cross country, track and field is on that website. It's new, so they're still uploading stuff, so everything's not there yet, but it will have every meet that is going on in New England on there. It has archives all the way back to like the 70s, has some pictures up there. It will have standards for all the meets. Yeah, it's really about time that we've had something like this as an association. But again, like the Trinity coach, the Conn College coach, the Tufts coach, they've all been working on this website for us, and it's awesome. So I definitely suggest going to check that out. Yeah, it's ned3.org, and that's where all our results will be for our virtual races. So the first two have already been posted. We did a 5x2K co-ed relay, and then we did a plank challenge last week. And then this week we did a 5K. So those 5K results will come out on Monday afternoon.
So I'm driving as I'm doing this because I miss you guys. Okay, so I am Brendan Sullivan's mom.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, Ryan. I just wanted to come in and say hi and thank you guys for everything, okay? Because I have one happy kid, and I want to say thank you for that. He has found his voice, and he loves running. I mean, that's like, he is just like the running fool. And if he can run more, he would. I keep telling him that eventually he's going to be marathoning before we all know it. But I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing. It means so much as a parent that I know, A, he's safe. I don't worry about it. But B, that he's thriving. And that's the hard work that your department has done. That's the hard work that Colby Sawyer has done. That's the hard work that he's had to do. And so I just want to say thank you for all that. You guys are terrific. And, you know, again, he's loving all of his courses right now. You know, Russ is just like the bomb to him. And Ryan, again, you know, between you and Walt, you know, talk about anchors for a kid. You guys have just been doing a great job. And again, as I said, he's thriving. I can't tell you how much he just loves, you know, the whole, I want to say the scholar athlete attitude that I think that your department really kind of articulates. And so I just want to say thank you for that as a mom. So I'm right now outside of Bed Bath & Beyond because I have to go run errands for the 17-year-old who's going to college soon himself. So, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the help and all the support and all the hard work that Colby Sawyer has been doing to keep these kids in. And I mean that. I don't think people know how much the mental health piece of this is impacting our kids. And it's your hard work that's really kept them there. And I think in the long run, the outcomes are going to be so tremendous because of that. So just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. It was nice meeting you. We love Brendan. He's probably one of the hardest workers on our team.
That is his skill. That is what he brings. He is like I mean, he's got a work ethic that doesn't quit. I miss him at home. like who's around? I can't, like, again, the 17-year-old looks at me and goes, when do you want it done? Now? Brendan is like, when do you want it done? Yesterday? So, I mean, talk about your different kids, right? But he's a very, very hard worker. It is, talk about values, people's values. That's his value. He loves to, he embraces hard work. So.
Yeah, no,
So
he's been great.
all.
He came into my office my first day on campus and came to introduce himself. He was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm really glad. So welcome, Ryan. Welcome, everybody. You know, I know there's a whole bunch of new people on staff, and again, you just are doing a fabulous job. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Lori,
All
thank
right.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh.
My name is John Hunt. I work in the Alumni and Development Office, and your enthusiasm just made my entire day. Thank you very much for chiming in.
Well, really, you know, and you guys, and by the way, take care of yourselves, all right? Because hard work comes with exhaustion. So I know that. So I'm a teacher as well, so I know how hard it is. And, you know, so just take care of yourselves. So, but I'm going to jump off right now, but I just wanted to say that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Mitch, what's the chance that alumni might be able to buy some of the gear that the athletes are making this year? I know some of us were talking about that with the track team. I'm wearing one of the new Colby Sawyer track and field ones I got a couple years ago. And being out in Nebraska, it's kind of nice to wear something that isn't red and say Huskers on it. So what kind of opportunities do we have to buy some of the gear that the students are running in these days?
Sure. Well, I think Ryan can tell you. I think Ryan, is your store still open through our apparel partner?
The fan store should still be open. I think we might have 2 more days on that. I think that should have been an email blast. Did you guys get that from the alumni office?
Awesome. Yeah. So that was part of one of the things that we did was we assigned with an apparel vendor and our an Under Armour school now. But one of the great things about our apparel vendor BSN, they offer our coaches the ability to do team stores. So we can put some of those together and blast out, items that are decorated specifically for us and allow people to order those direct, and they drop ship straight to you. So check that out, or we'll make sure we get you the link.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Also, Ryan, who's the advisor you guys got now? Just my own personal interest. And if you don't have somebody, there are a few people I would think would make it good for you.
That is a great question. I am not sure.
So I think that faculty staff team advisor program is something that we need to relaunch. I'm going to work with our faculty athletic rep, Stacy Watts, on that program. It's one of the things that she's came to me about early on when I first met with her, and said she'd like to reinvigorate that so we can get a faculty or staff person connected with each of our teams and with our student athletes. We had a very similar program at St. Anselm where I came from, and I saw the benefits of that and you know what it meant not only for our student athletes but also for the staff person working with our teams to be involved with the team, to be connected, and all the things that we can do to do that.
I'd like to just ask one question. I think, you know, kind of piggybacking on the, you know, what did we do for this fall? I know there's still a lot of unknown, but what potentially could the winter seasons look like? And I won't even talk spring yet. But, you know, potentially what could the winter seasons look like? And, you know, Devon, especially for you, kind of and Helaina, what are you preparing for kind of the winter season?
I'll let those guys go.
Yeah, we're planning the best we can for a season. So we're working through the phases like Helaina said. Right now we'll start phase 2 on Monday, where we're allowed to share the ball a little more, and then once phase 3 gets here, we'll be able to compete and go 5v5 at practice. And you know, along with keeping them engaged with doing different activities outside of like being on the court and doing some team bonding, we're prepping to be the most cohesive group we can on and off the court, so that if we compete, and hopefully we will compete, we're ready to do that. So we're hopeful. Fingers are crossed.
Yeah, I think, you know, for swimming, honestly, we're going to get the bulk of our stuff in this fall is what it's looking like to me. The 2 biggest Division III conferences for swimming and diving have both canceled their winter championships. And so that's the NESCAC and the NCAC. And so kind of from where I'm standing, I'm trying to basically, my plan is to hit this fall. If we can just stay on campus and stay in person, like we can do virtual meets, we can do inter squad time trials, we can do a drop rest, taper, suit up, shave, like go fast. If I can just keep them here, we can do a lot of stuff where at least they get a taste of a season. Because the reality for swimming and diving is if we go home at Thanksgiving and don't come back until January 1, or at the worst, Martin Luther King Day, that's 5 to 8 weeks. And it just is not the time to build back up the base to then have to actually taper and go fast 2 weeks later. That's just not going to happen in the sport of swimming. And so, you know, I'm trying to, if we can just be here though, we can still get something out of this fall. And then, you know, and then whatever January and February brings, like kind of just start over and go for it again. You know, some people might have the chance to train while they're at home. I know some people definitely won't, just based on where they are. Pools aren't open everywhere. And so I expect to have a mix of things there, but I think like they know that. I've been trying to be pretty upfront and honest with them with where I think things are going and what all the possibilities are. And so hopefully they continue to stay healthy, and it gives us an opportunity to at least let them go for some pool records, go for some PRs, regardless of what happens in terms of formal championships and things like that. So fingers crossed. So far, so good.
What's USA Rugby doing, Ed, for kind of, we see with the NFL, we've seen with various different D1 schools. I know USATF being kind of like D1, D3, not USATF too, but USA Rugby being all kind of mishmashed together. Are they even thinking about having anything this spring, like sevens or anything like that?
I don't know what they were going to do. So the women's rugby program here is under the NCAA and really guided by NYRA. So we don't have, USA Rugby has nothing to do with what we do for the most part. Although the men's program that they oversee is actually, well, they're with NCR, which was NSCRO. So again, they're trying to put out their own guidelines. So there's a little bit of a battle going on between what was NSCRO and USA Rugby. USA Rugby kind of pulled an NCAA that it was like, it's up to your state guidelines. But in some instances, they've called out matches that have happened for not being sanctioned. So I think it's just a matter of working with them and making sure that your match is sanctioned. But they have their own guidelines similar to other, governing bodies. but for the most part, it's whatever's happening in your state. So.
And I think for athletics as a whole, it's still a big question mark, right? The athletic directors of the GNAC meet weekly, and we kind of give campus updates and talk about what we're looking at. And I think just like in every line of work, you get everything from people who are saying if we can get back and we can start by this date, we'll get a 14-game basketball season in. And then there's other schools who are remote right now who aren't sure if they're going to be able to return. And one of the things that's unique about the GNAC is we range from schools from all the way in Rhode Island to Vermont and Maine and everywhere in between. So there's a lot of different state guidelines and regulations that we all have to deal with to be able to put that conference schedule together or on. And I think there's some stuff in Massachusetts right now about venue capacities that make it difficult to even, how would you even have a basketball contest? Let alone a swim championship or an indoor track. So we're trying to navigate all those things, and we're still hopeful that that something will happen and something will become available. The NCAA has put out guidelines about best practices for testing and all those sorts of things, and hopefully there's a test that's becomes more affordable in the near future, so that we can start back up again. I think that's going to be the reality for how we can move forward, is to have affordable, reliable, fast testing before we get to a vaccine. And we'll stay connected and figure out what that's going to look like. But I think Helaina's right that our student athletes are appreciative of just being on campus. That was the number one goal when we were talking this summer, was to get people on ground and on campus, and then we build from there. And I think one of the comments I heard the first week was, this doesn't suck as bad as we thought it would, from some of our student athletes, and I took that as a win. I took that as we're getting somewhere and we're doing something. We understand it's not full competition. We're all competitive people, right? We all have that background of wanting to compete and wanting to get out there. But for right now, we just want to keep everybody safe and keep everybody on campus, and so we can be together and train and grow from there. So. April, I'm sure you're hearing the same stuff as you guys are trying to figure out how you guys can get back, right?
Yeah, I was happy to hear from Helaina that you guys are looking at January 1st for return to athletes. We're actually looking at February 1st. So we're looking at kind of prolonging or condensing it, but also putting it a little bit later than it normally is in the spring, and maybe having people stay a little past graduation. I'm in Division I in Massachusetts, so you're right, there are capacity restrictions, and if we do have any fans at games, that's really remains to be seen for the future coming up. So we'll have to see how everything plays out. And I do know, because we play schools in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island. So there are state restrictions, and we're the only D1. We're the only team. We're the only school in our league that's in Massachusetts. So we have to look at all these other states and see what they're doing before we can even think about playing a game. So it's definitely interesting, and a lot of work and a lot of putting a lot of heads together to make it work for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a giant jigsaw puzzle to try and figure out, and it's not easy. So hats off to our athletic training folks who are really on the front lines of all of this. April, I appreciate everything you and all of our our staff of athletic trainers and all of you guys do. I know because my roommate when I was at Colby Sawyer the first time was an athletic trainer.
Yep.
And now she's at Southern.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's definitely, my job has completely changed. I mean, I still treat athletes, but it's a lot more paperwork, checking in. We do mental health checks with athletes. If we haven't seen someone in a couple days, we reach out to them. You know, this is at Merrimack where I work, and I'm hopeful, and I'm sure that the athletic trainers at Colby Sawyer are doing the same. It's a little bit of a smaller campus though, and we're a little bit closer to the city, so it's tempting for the athletes to leave on the weekends or go to Boston or go out. So it's definitely interesting, and never did I think it would be like this, but it is, and we're living it, and we're taking it day by day, sometimes hour by hour.
How are you guys all handling like the ideas of like recruiting, you know, for the upcoming year? You know, we had like April was saying about Massachusetts having their own kind of guidelines right now. Like for us in terms of coaching, like Massachusetts has gone to 4 seasons. You know, we're pushing our track season all the way up until like the beginning of July. But I know other states are kind of full go right now where Merrimack Valley's on football. Just because they're doing it later, but I know schools in New Hampshire are playing football, like things like that. So how are you guys as coaches kind of preparing for that? In terms of trying to, you know, continue to build the programs for the future?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in. Yeah, I know, yeah, for recruiting right now, basically there are swim meets happening, but there's a lot, it's all no spectator, right? So like I'm not going to go stand in a parking lot and then pull up results on my phone, which I can just do in the office. So that's definitely pretty challenging, and it's making it a lot harder to have that personal connection with kids. You know, I know they really appreciate and enjoy when, like, it means a lot to them when they can see a coach like watching them, right? Like that's some kind of validation for them. That they're on the right path of whatever their goals are. And so I'm finding that challenging, trying to, like, you know, it's all becoming, not that it wasn't already phone calls and texting, but being able, you know, having to say, like, we are allowed to have people that are in New England visit campus and do like a campus tour and things like that. They can't do any overnights and there's restrictions, but like basically if you're in New England, you are allowed to visit, which is huge, I think. And so for anybody from New England that, you know, I think probably any of us are talking to, we're trying to get them to do that. That being said, there's different comfort zones out there, you know, and some people just aren't comfortable traveling, and that's fine. And I'm not going to push a kid to do that, you know? And so it's trying to figure out how do we get them to still get to know the team. You know, so I'm working on putting together like a virtual, like, team meet and greet, kind of like we're going to, you know, get the top recruits on a Zoom, get any team volunteers on a Zoom, and play stupid games, play get to know you games, put them in breakout rooms, like let them be together and me kind of be like a secondary part of that, let them get to know the team a little bit. And then if they want to get to know me more, like we can just, you know, do a phone call or something. But I think it's definitely more challenging than what I've experienced in the past. And I think for a lot of athletes who are trying to go through the recruiting process, it's probably really, really frustrating because you just constantly hear, at least in swimming, it's like, I was on pace or I was on track to do whatever times or whatever time drops. And it's like, you know, kind of for me in the position I'm in, I'm not going to not take a kid if their times weren't where they thought they should be. Like, I want a good person. I want somebody who cares about the team, wants to be there, and is going to add value. But they don't always see that, right? When they're going through the recruiting process, it's pretty intimidating. They're talking to coaches. I have to be this fast. It's like, so I'm trying to ease a little bit of that worry on my end, but I think there's a lot of stress out there for them right now. Yeah.
You know, for basketball, I've been a little luckier in the sense that Massachusetts has tighter restrictions. So a lot of the AAU teams are competing right in Derry in the New England Sports Complex. So I've been going there every weekend, and I've been able to see and what they've allowed spectators. So I've been able to see a lot of players compete. And because Colby Sawyer is allowing tours, we're one of the only schools that is doing that as well. So I've been on the luckier end of this in, as far as recruiting, that I've been able to build more relationships because I'm able to go to the games and get them on campus kind of pretty quickly after that. So yeah, my experience has been a little different on that side.
Just from a rugby perspective, the young women in Idaho and Utah are going to be the most highly recruited in the country this next season because they are actually competing. No restrictions, and mostly in sevens rugby. Now I can't obviously travel out there, but it's a matter of just contacting coaches. Who are you graduating seniors? Are they interested in joining a NIRA or an NCAA program? But I've been going to participating in the Northeast Academy clinics that are every weekend, every Sunday, Saturday or Sunday. I can't recruit there, but I can build relationships with coaches, high school coaches, and some of the athletes. And then the New England Free Jacks are going to start holding some talent identification days throughout New England. So that's another opportunity. I'm actually participating in those as a coach and helping with those. So just whatever connections, whatever bridges I can build now with coaches and players, I'm trying to do. So.
Yeah, and in terms of cross country and track and field, kind of everybody's kind of hit on that. We're very lucky that Colby Sawyer has in-person tours going on. So we've been trying to utilize that as much as we can, trying to get in contact with student athletes, trying to get them on campus, as well as all the phone calls and text messages. And I know it's not a lot of meets going on right now, but there's a lot of dual meets. So just kind of following up on results, checking in on student athletes and seeing how they're competing and how they're doing and stuff. So really just trying to keep the conversation going is mostly how I've been trying to attack it. Trying to communicate with them like bi-weekly, keep that relationship going, and just kind of, keep attacking as best we can through this tough time.
Really serious question, Ryan. What are your thoughts about our indoor track?
Yeah, I did a lap on it the other day. It's it's better than not having anything, though. I will take a 160 over nothing.
Did you get shin splints right away?
No, I feel okay.
Okay, good.
Some tight corners on that track, though.
I used to do Amber and I both used to do hurdles on that thing.
Oh, wow. I do like that. It's kind of banked, though. Whoever did that.
I do remember a few of the indoor track practices in my first go around at Colby Sawyer and the hurdles up there. I do remember that.
Mitch,
it's not very soft when you trip on it.
Yeah, Amber and I were probably.
Yep. Yeah. Well, like Ryan said, that if you guys haven't seen it, that new track is absolutely amazing. It's great to go down there, and the view is unbelievable. It's one of the best spots on campus, and I think John would tell you we're actually we're gonna get together here soon. We have another gift in hand for some more improvements down at Kelsey at the Kelsey complex there, where we can hopefully get a facility down there and maybe do some other upgrades. Lights is always on the wish list. It's been on the wish list for a long time, but now that we have that great field and track, hopefully that's a possibility for us. But then to do some storage. Right now our mats are in all of our track mats and stuff are in the basement of the Fine Arts building, which is a bit of a hike, so we have to haul them up there and back when we get into track season. But hopefully we can get some storage down there and do some other improvements. Maybe get our SID a press box. I'm sensitive to that one. Having sat at a table under a tent in the rain myself down there, and I know Ryan Emerson who's now left us, but he in his 12 years the same thing, and hopefully we can do some more great things down there and improve down there, so we can give future Chargers a great experience down there.
Just to piggyback on Mitch's comments, we did, for those of you who aren't aware, we did recently receive a $1.5 million pledge to build a building down near the Kelsey Fields. I think to say that we're in the early stages of planning that would be an understatement, but the money to at least start it is in the bank, which is really exciting. And, I think we are blessed with such a wonderful group of alumni support and donors within the area too, that we've seen unprecedented gains in the last couple of years that is really exciting for the future of Colby Sawyer. Are there any other questions? I know we're kind of approaching the witching hour, so I do want to make sure everyone gets their questions in. I was really excited that we, I think you get caught in that. Do you want a whole lot of people or do you want a small group? I kind of like the small group because I think it's a little more intimate and gives folks the opportunity to kind of get their piece out there. So are there any other final questions or comments that anyone has from the coaches or from our alumni group? I'm not seeing any. So I will say, Mitch, did you have anything else you wanted to close with before I kind of wrap it up?
Just to say thank you guys again. Thanks for hopping on here, spending some time with us, getting to know our new coaches and myself and connecting with Colby Sawyer. It's always great to have alums come back when they can, and obviously in this COVID year of just being involved somehow and with athletics. Thank you for all you guys do, all your support from afar, and everything that you do for Colby Sawyer. We appreciate it, and I know our student athletes do. And hopefully we can get you guys to drive from 1,200, 1,500 miles away, or even closer, maybe for an alumni track meet sometime in the future.
Couldn't have said that better, Mitch. Thank you.
Thank you
Sorry,
guys, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you. And I did post it in there, but we will send out the recording of this. So if anyone wants to watch it again, feel free. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out to any of the coaches or Mitch or myself. And look for your Friends of Colby Sawyer Athletics emails coming soon, hopefully. But again, we really appreciate all your time. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great stay at homecoming.